And on this Tuesday, August 26th, 2025 edition of Newsmakers, the Trump administration is threatening to restrict federal grant funding from dozens of states over sex education programs. HHS's Administration for Children and Families says it's putting 46 states, U.S. territories, and Washington, D.C. on notice to remove all references to gender ideology from their personal responsibility education program within 60 days. The Teen Pregnancy Prevention and Sexual Health Initiative was created by the Affordable Care Act, and states stand to lose more than $81 million in federal grant funding if they do not make the requested changes. The warning comes roughly a week after HHS terminated California's PrEP grant over the state's refusal to comply. A network of clinics in Maine will not resume getting Medicaid funds during its lawsuit over Trump administration cuts to abortion providers. Monday's decision by a judge against Maine family planning comes despite a ruling last month by another federal judge who said Planned Parenthood clinics around the country must continue to be reimbursed for Medicaid funding as the provider wrangles with the Trump administration over efforts to defund it. That legal fight continues. Every college campus across New York State is now required to have anti-discrimination coordinators on site. Natalie Migliori reports.
Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation saying mandated coordinators will work hand in hand with students and faculty to confront discrimination, calling it an important step forward to combat racial bias and anti-Semitism. The New York State Division of Human Rights is now tasked with developing training to ensure colleges and universities have the tools they need to uphold the protections of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Several institutions across New York, including Columbia University, have gained attention for demonstrations related to the conflict between Israel and Hamas. I'm Natalie Migliori.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is accusing Iran of directing at least 2 anti-Semitic attacks in Australia and says the country is cutting off diplomatic relations in response. Albanese says the Australian intelligence services has connected Iran to arson attacks in a Sydney restaurant and a Melbourne synagogue. There has been a steep rise in anti-Semitic events in the two cities since the Israel-Hamas war began in 2023. He added that Iran has tried to disguise its involvement, but the Australian intelligence services assesses Iran was behind the attacks. 2 Democratic members of the U.S. Senate, Jeff Merkley of Oregon and Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, are traveling this week to the Middle East. They'll visit Israel, Jordan, and Egypt. They'll observe humanitarian aid efforts to Gaza and press for an immediate ceasefire and the return of the hostages. The senators also plan to visit communities in the West Bank, where they will discuss increasing ongoing violence, including the recent killings of American citizens and attacks on Christian communities. And that's Newsmakers for this Tuesday, August 26th, 2025 edition. I'm Keith Black.